Hey everyone, Jim Chester coming to you live from ChiroFest. I'm here with Tom Lamar with Spinal Column Radio. This guy was a real trailblazer for the chiropractic voice, the chiropractic story, and the chiropractic message. It's been such an honor sitting here off camera with him, talking to him about his practice, talking to him about how he got into chiropractic, talking to you a little bit about what jazzes you up with your message of chiropractic.
Some of the best content comes before we go on air, and I wish we were rolling. You guys missed it. But if you're not here, you're missing so much here at ChiroFest 2017. And I am honored to be here with Jim Chester because this guy, I feel I needed this guy when I was doing what I was doing. And there's more and more people like him showing up, and it's this kind of work that is continuing the momentum of what I started. And certainly there's people that came before me, but I'll tell you, Jim, my biggest challenge was trying to explain what a podcast was when I started. And now it's kind of like, well, duh, everyone knows what that is. And now podcasting is cool. It seems like everybody and their brother has a podcast. But that's good for our profession.
Yeah, and for me, starting the Chiro Hustle movement, making the film, I didn't know where it was going to take or where it was going to lead to. But just hearing your stories offline here, tell us a little bit about how Spinal Column Radio has affected people just even today.
Well, yeah, that's the coolest thing about podcasting. I always used to say, and we're doing a Facebook Live right now, which is, I'm all excited about this new technology because the best thing that we could do when we were doing this was something we called live to hard drive, which meant that we would record and whatever you said was recorded and you didn't do any post-production. And then as soon as you could get like a Wi-Fi connection, you would just, push that baby out. That's the best. And sometimes it took maybe up to 24 hours to get it out. But, as far as getting back to your original question, because it is time shifted, people are listening to what we put on the air way back in, starting January 1st, 2010. And I'm still getting emails, still getting comments about how they're listening to something and it's affecting their lives. My podcast originally, as my listeners know, began as me putting out something for the lay audience, basically, and it was me talking about the articles that I had written in the local paper, and then it blossomed into something I never would have ever thought about, and that was interviewing chiropractors and touching other chiropractors' lives and actually changing the way that they practice, the way they view chiropractic. Well, at the same time, I'm changing right along with them, and I really started getting chills when I started to realize that I am impacting people's lives through them. And much the same way that, Dee Dee Palmer must have felt when BJ talked him into, let's do a school, Dad. We got to do a school. Don't hold this. And knowing that, by teaching chiropractic, he was affecting people's lives through the people that he was teaching. And then you have a legacy that doesn't die. And so, yeah, it's cool. So doing this kind of work, every once in a while you're going to get there's going to be some tension out there. Not everybody's going to love you, right? And this is how it is. But, boy, I have kind of like my love file, if you will. And I would cut and paste like all the great emails, all these things. It's like 70 pages long, in a document. And I don't go through it on a regular basis, but every once in a while I might look at something and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
So I have a really cool question. I didn't talk to him about this off air, but how does it feel for the interviewer to be interviewed?
I love to talk. I love to be interviewed. I love talking about Spinal Column Radio. I could fill 6 hours. And there's just so much to talk about and so many twists and turns that particular program took and the directions that it took us and the opportunities that it afforded us. That never, ever would have occurred but for the podcast. I used to call it the power of the podcast, the pop. And it's just like, wow, this podcast, I wouldn't be here. To be honest with you, I probably would not be at ChiroFest right now. I'm wearing the very first shirt that came out. ChiroFest. So, Jim?
We're back. Oh. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking around. And Tom Lamar was talking about the very first Under the Big Top that he did in a cow pasture.
Oh, yeah.
And we're gonna branch back into that conversation. But then I'm gonna ask him about his chiropractic story and what got him to where he is today.
So the very first Big Top Legacy was in a cow pasture. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was. It was out in the middle of a farm, and we were under the Big Top. It was a circus tent. BJ was really into circuses, and so it kind of had that tie back into history. And my son Logan and I, he was 11 years old at the time. He was my audio engineer, and we were under our own little. Your godfather out there.
Okay, we're back. So we were just talking about Jim DeBell and New Beginnings, and to pull back the curtain a little bit, I'm going to be speaking there this year for the first time at New Beginnings 2017 in October. So anybody that wants to come out to New Beginnings, get yourselves there and join the New Beginnings family. And let's talk a little bit about your experience when you did the Big Top interviews, interviewed 8 people.
Oh, sure. So we're back at ChiroFest here, and
with Dave Major. Oh, we're back. So we're going to talk a little bit about the first ChiroFest, and I'm going to let Dr. Tom Lamar tell us a little bit about interviewing Dr. Lyle Kocha, which was one of the interviews when it started pouring rain on him, and let's lead into that now.
So it's pouring rain, and all the attendees are showing up, and the idea was I wanted them to kind of congregate around our particular tent as before they went in, but it was pouring rain, and so instead of them stopping by, they just kept running past. And but yet there was these 2 ladies that were out in the audience. They had umbrellas, and they were just sticking through the entire interview, hanging on my every word. And here I'm about a year into Spinal Column Radio, so I'm thinking, these are my local fans, and they are there, and they can't wait to ask me, the radio pod jockey, all these questions about Spinal Column Radio, and so I'm just kind of anticipating the questions that might come once I wrap up this excellent interview with Lyle Kocha. Nothing against Lyle, but that's where my head was. And so we wrapped up the interview, and everybody's in the Big Top at this point, and the festivities are getting underway. And so these ladies start approaching me, and then they walk right past me and give Lyle a big hug, and they're like, "That was great, Lyle." And I find out, he goes, "Dr. Lamar, I want to introduce you to my wife and my daughter." So I had a big slice of humble pie that particular afternoon. But yeah, that was very memorable. And the rain certainly put an extra little nuance in it that we weren't expecting. We had, from a technical side, we had lots of shorts happening. And there was a couple of times when we thought we were going to get just a deluge of water coming on our equipment as it accumulated on the tent above us.
So with that story, it opened up more opportunities for you. And then you met, was it Jim DeBell?
Well, actually, Jim DeBell came first, and so Jim DeBell contacted me. We had put some history, some chiropractic radio history segments out with BJ Palmer on the radio, and there's a whole story behind that. But he heard them. He said, "This sounds phenomenal. I like what you're doing. We love your voice. We love your production. I haven't heard anything like this ever before. Is there any way that you could come out to New Jersey? And we want you to interview all of our great name speakers that come across our platform." And I was like, yeah, I'd be an idiot to say no. But I said I have a couple of conditions. He goes, "Well, what are those?" I said, "Well, number one, we bring all of our own equipment. We've developed kind of a brand, a sound, and I want to make sure that we maintain that." And he goes, "Oh, slam dunk, no problem." Number two, my 10-year-old son, Logan, comes with me. "You're serious? Why is that?" He goes, I said, "Logan's my audio engineer." I said, "If you want me to be connecting with the greatest names in chiropractic, like Reggie Gold, for example," I said, "I want to be in the moment with that man. I don't want to be thinking about what my sound levels are doing or what the tech is doing. That's Logan's job, and he does an excellent job." Pause. Silence. Okay, I guess he's coming. And so that really kind of was if Logan wasn't invited, that was a deal breaker for me. I never went alone.
Well, see, there you have it. It takes a village to raise chiropractic, and not only from a perspective of a doctor, but for the village of your family. And bringing the family together within the chiropractic paradigm is what I've found for a lot of offices. There's a lot of people that have chirocentric families. They're in the chirosphere, and they're doing things to grow this profession. So I didn't ask you off camera, what is Logan doing now?
You know, Logan's still into tech. He loves the visual medium, so he's really into photography. He's into video. Of course, he's got his audio background because of Spinal Column, and he, you know, at one point he wanted to be a chiropractor. Now I think there's always a chance he could come back to that, but you know, every young man has to find his own way. And so I just love Logan, and I'm going to support him in whatever he decides to do. And if he wants to become a chiropractor, you know, that's pretty awesome. You know, on our last episode, we kind of did this reflection back, looking back at everything we did, and I asked him, you know, I said, I want your top 3 moments of Spinal Column Radio. What are you going to remember? And I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but one of the things he said was interviewing Reggie Gold, and I didn't think that would be on his list, but you know. He understands at this point what sort of legend he was and his influence on the chiropractic profession, and so it's so cool. I mean, to be in his shoes, and if he does become a chiropractor, looking back and you know, because it's a podcast, I'm hoping he'll stay out there if I can continue to pay my media bill.
Well, I know that you had some nice things early off camera to say about Paul Reed and what he's done out here for ChiroFest. Would you mind sharing a few of those moments with us on air here?
Well, you know, it's funny. Paul's son, his name is Logan. So, yeah, okay. So I'm taking over right now. So what I was saying was, you know, Paul Reed, what a visionary. This man has continued to tirelessly put together ChiroFest to do it for the love of chiropractic. You know, he says that ChiroFest is about honoring the past, preserving the future, and that's really what Paul's heart's all about. It's about raising up that next chiropractor and he's all about family here, taking that chiropractor to the next level. Are you going to come back, or am I taking over here? So we're on Facebook Live. We're here at the ChiroFest 2017. Here comes back the host.
Hey, guys. Sorry, running low on power here. He was just talking about, like, technical glitches and not traveling without the right-hand man. And here I am by myself at ChiroFest, running production on my own.
You need a Logan.
I need a Logan, and I do. I have a Luke.
Right.
But Luke is back in Denver, tending to other business right now. So I was like, man, it's a 2-day event. I can roll this by myself. Obviously, it would be nice to have an extra hand, as you know.
Always nice.
So you have some contingencies out there that it takes 2 to travel to do good professional work.
Yeah, there was actually, when we did CalJam 2012, I think it was, my daughter came with us too. So I had a crew. And her main job, and you would appreciate this, is she was the one that was lining up the interviews. And so when the next interview was kind of in the wings, she was greeting them. She was the CA, basically, saying, you know, Dr. Jackson, really nice to see you. My dad is just finishing up right now. Well, you'll be on in just a moment, and make sure that, you know, you've gone to the bathroom and have a drink of water. So that was pretty cool.
So Tom Lamar knows what it's like to live in the shoes of Jim Chester a little bit, and what it means to set precedents and trailblaze for the profession as a media agent, telling the story not only to shine light on the chiropractor, but to shine light to the people that need the care. Yeah. And I think that's why I started doing what I do, because I knew that when I talked to Dr. John DeMartini, he's like, we need to leverage the media any way we can to get the message of chiropractic to the masses.
Wait. You interviewed Martini?
Yeah.
DeMartini? Oh. All right, podcaster jealousy right now. No, that's awesome. Absolutely. You know, what started out as a podcast for my patient base, my community, turned into a podcast for other chiropractors so they could affect their communities. And so Spinal Column Radio really was leveraged in that way and continues to be, because it's time shifted, which is so cool. And you're doing the same thing.
And I want to throw a shout out there to somebody that helped me tremendously. That was Ed Osborne with the Chiropractic Philanthropist. Yeah. Without Ed, I wouldn't know what to do, how to do it, or how to build myself into this arena. Dr. Ed introduced me to some of the major players early on in my career to get me to the point where I got into different doors to do interviews for Chiropractic, the documentary. And now I just perpetuated that momentum that he gave me there, and I didn't stop. So thank you, Dr. Ed Osborne, for being an influence to me and so many out there. I know your podcast, The Chiropractic Philanthropist, is crushing it. I know you are reaching massive amounts of people, and you're training people how to become podcasters.
Yeah,
so,
you know, and that's so cool. I think Ed and I, we were kind of like, you know, guards passing in the night. As I was winding down, he was winding up. and we just really never had a chance to meet and talk with one another. But he's crushing it, like you said, and he's teaching other chiropractors to podcast, which is something that it was kind of on my to-do list. Is like, I can't be the only one that carries this, and wouldn't it be cool to have an army of chiropractors that were using this media to spread the message? Because who else is going to do it? Nobody else.
And with that being said, I know Tom and I and Ed, if you guys need a trusted resource on how to become media agents for chiropractic, I would love to have my inbox full of inquiries for people to say, how did you do it? How can I help? And what can I do to spread this message further?
Agree. Absolutely. This is, I don't even know what the numbers are. It's well over 200,000 podcasts. I'm using old stats now. Do you have any idea how many podcasts are on iTunes?
No idea.
No idea. Well, there's a lot. And when I was doing it, it was in the like 115, 120,000, it got over 200,000. There's a lot of podcasts out there, but if there's only like 4 guys doing chiropractic podcasts, you're going to get lost. But if we have thousands of chiropractors doing it, all of a sudden people are going to take note.
And that's just it, is the health and wellness market needs chiropractors to leverage into it, to tell their story, to shine a light on how to go out there and find people that are in a subluxated lifestyle and how to turn them into a chiropractic lifestyle. So once the people start understanding this chiropractic lifestyle, either through doctors, through media agents, or through the public, we're going to start turning this profession on, and more people are going to start living the chiropractic lifestyle. And with that being said, I know there's so many out there that know that what Dr. Lamar and I are talking about is valuable. So please give us some thumbs up, give us some hearts, share this message. Please go onto your personal page and push this onto your personal page so your friends and family that might not understand what the chiropractic philosophy is, what the science is behind it, can start understanding from a veteran chiropractor, a veteran podcaster, and a media agent as to what chiropractic is doing for him and for other people, and how the message just needs to perpetuate and be sent out there. I know you shared earlier with me the B.J. Palmer quote. Would you mind sharing that with everybody out there?
Absolutely. One of my favorite B.J. Palmer quotes is, "You never know how far-reaching something you say, think, or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow." And my good colleague, Dr. David Moore, puts a little twist on it that I really appreciate. And he says, you never know how far-reaching something you don't say, think, or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. So it's just as important as what you do say and what you don't say. So we need to take action. And you're taking action. And I appreciate that. I love and appreciate you, and thank you for doing what you're doing. You said something that kind of resonated with me. You said, I kind of don't feel like I should have to be the one as a non-chiropractor to get out and tell your story. Well, we are here today because of people like you. Chiropractic would have been gone a long time ago, but it's the public. The public has kept us alive. You well know, doing your research for that documentary that you put out, that we have been under the we are truly the David in the David and Goliath story. And we would not be around if it were not for, when we were thrown in jail as chiropractors, we had, our patients were picketing in front of these jailhouses, free our chiropractor. The judges that were on the benches could see right through this whole ruse. And so, thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And we, like I said, we're here because of people like you.
And I think we're going to close out the interview with those kind words of appreciation. And I can't say enough about this group of people here at ChiroFest for allowing me to be in here as their media agent, to go Facebook Live, and to trust me as their trusted resource. Because what I've done over the past, 7 years, not only working in the offices, but scheduling people into offices, creating the film, doing so many things behind the scenes that help grow the chiropractic profession. Many things you guys don't know about yet, but things are in the works to help grow the profession better, to make it stronger, and to shine a light to where more people are living unsubluxated lives. So with that being said, Dr. Thomas Lamar and I are going to jump off the live feed with you here, but I just want to say we love and appreciate every single one of you. All of you that have been on the live feed with us. I can't say enough to you about what it means to have you guys with us along this journey, not only at ChiroFest, but for life. And just please consider sharing this. Give us some likes, give us some thumbs up, comment. I'll always
get out to ChiroFest 2018. Come on. You need this.
Yes, everybody that's not here in the Pacific Northwest at Paul Reed's ChiroFest 2017, please.
I got to say one thing. Okay, as a content creator, I worked 3 of these events. And when you work an event like this, it is tiring. You go home and you sleep. But it's so rich and you get so much out of it. But you know what? As much as I get out of it being a content creator, I've had a chance now to be an attendee for 2 straight years. And man, it explodes my practice. No wonder people come here. It's awesome. So I'm getting dipped. I'm getting fed. The Spinal Column Radio chiropractor is out there rolling up his sleeves, and he's helping people each and every day. The feed is still going, and we thank you for jumping on this live feed. I would be doing live feeds all the time if I was still back in this.
So you hear it from one of the founders of the podcast movement for chiropractic, Dr. Tom Lamar. Thank you, everybody, for being out there. And if you aren't here at 2017 ChiroFest, get here next year. Love and appreciate you guys. Stay with me for the rest of the weekend. I got about 20 more of these things coming up. So just stay with me on the live feeds.